Have you ever seen a goat hijack a luxury SUV while a woman rants about zoning laws and a deputy waves a Slim Jim like it's a peace treaty? Because I have, last Tuesday, in fact. Welcome to my ranch. It all started like a typical spring morning in Texas. Wide blue sky, birds singing, and the soft hum of a tractor rolling on my neighbor's land. I was on my porch, sipping black coffee that tasted like battery acid and liberty, while my goat, Spud, gnawed enthusiastically on an old garden hose he'd somehow adopted. The piece was almost poetic until a white BMW X5 barreled onto my gravel path, kicking up dust like it had a vendetta. Out stepped a woman wrapped in suburban hostility, oversized sunglasses, tennis visor, and a permanent scowl. I didn't know her name yet, but my bones did. She had the aura of someone who thought HOA bylaws should apply to open ranch land. The kind of person who hums with high-frequency entitlement wrapped in a pastel cardigan. She stomped up to my gate, pulled out a clipboard, and started muttering to herself. I gave a minute before strolling down the driveway, coffee in hand, cowboy hat tipped to that polite but not too polite angle. "Can I help you, ma'am?" I asked. Without looking up, she snapped, "You have unauthorized structures and livestock. Are you zoned for livestock?" I blinked. "I have 30 acres and a goat named Spud." "Well, should I have? A strip mall?" She finally looked at me like I'd asked her to calculate string theory with finger puppets. "You're within audible distance of a developing community. There are aesthetic regulations. You can't just live like this." Now, I'm a simple man. I don't know much about aesthetics, but I do know when someone tells you your lifestyle offends the future vibe of their dream cul-de-sac, things won't end in a handshake. This is private land. I checked twice. Also, Spud is unionized. You'll have to take it up with him. Spud let out a perfectly timed bleat, possibly offended. She twitched, spun on her heel, and stormed back to her car. I figured that was the end of it. But folks like her don't go quietly. The next morning, her BMW was parked diagonally across my gate like she practiced a three-point turn of passive aggression. A handwritten note taped to my fence read, "Until further notice, this access point is closed. Comply with beautification protocols." Signed, Beverly Whitaker, Community Representative. Spud chewed my pant leg while I debated whether this was a prank or the result of expired chili. Nope. Real car. Real woman. Inside, she sipped something green from a reusable straw like she was guarding Fort Suburbia. I called the sheriff's non-emergency line. 20 minutes later, Deputy Luke Ramirez rolled up in a dusty patrol truck, mustache and all. He squinted at the BMW. "Is that a blockade?" "Looks that way," I said. He called out, "Ma'am, you can't block access to private property. This is a ranch, not a subdivision." She waved us off like we were flies. Luke leaned in and whispered, "Is she a full-blown Beverly?" "Might be their queen," I replied. He grinned, then radioed, "Dispatch, we have a 502B. Gate obstruction by entitled civilian. Possible HOA spillover." Whether that was a real code, I don't know, but it sounded good. He approached the car. She cracked the window just enough to hiss, "You're enabling rural chaos. I'm here to enforce order." "Ma'am, you're enforcing an illegal blockade. Move your vehicle in 5, or I'm using my truck." "You wouldn't dare." That's when Spud walked up, sniffed her front tire, and climbed on the hood. "Is that a goat?" she screeched. Luke, without missing a beat, pulled out a Slim Jim snack and waved it like a white flag. "Ma'am, I suggest you vacate before this goat calls for backup." She screamed for animal control and hit the lock button like it would stop Spud. He tapped the glass with his hoof, dead-eyed. Luke nearly dropped his radio laughing. "Gotta document this," he said, snapping a photo. "Move your car," I said. She ignored me, scrolling her tablet for whatever suburban clause she thought applied. So Luke did what any badge-wielding Texan would do. He nudged the BMW with his truck. Not violent, more like metal ballet. Her car rolled aside like a startled deer. Beverly jumped out, waving her tablet like a sword. "This is harassment. I'm calling the mayor." "We don't have one," I said. "And if we did," Luke added, "he'd be at my barbecue." She sputtered and drove off for now. Spud bleated in victory. But it wasn't over. The next morning, Beverly returned with a local news van and handmade protest signs. Zoning matters, and goats are not neighbors. I walked out of my robe and boots. Spud trailed behind, stoic. Beverly shouted to the cameras. This man's livestock are a threat to suburban tranquility. Spud tripped over a bush. See, she cried. Unstable. Then she pulled out a stack of printed HOA bylaws and handed them to the cameraman like court evidence. This property is incompatible with community vision. There's no HOA here, I said. Just don't be dumb and close the gate. You've done neither. She ignored me and gestured at imaginary boundaries. The cameraman whispered, I was told this was a puff piece. Wait till she brings the projector, I said. Then it happened. Spud slipped into her unlocked SUV, climbed onto the seat, and started chewing the bylaws. The goat is in my CR, Beverly shrieked. He locked the doors, refused to leave. Deputy Luke returned, laughing the second he saw it. What did I miss? He ate legal documents, she said. They were printed from Google, the cameraman muttered. Sounds like a civil goat dispute, Luke said. He coaxed Spud out with a Slim Jim and handed Beverly a citation for illegal obstruction and trespassing. She screamed about contacting Oprah. Sheriff Grace Callahan showed up soon after. When Beverly began listing fake laws, Grace listened silently before saying, Ma'am, you accused a goat of grand theft auto. You'll get a parking ticket and a story for therapy. Beverly looked stunned. Luke moved her car with his truck, nudging it gently into the ditch. Vehicular assault, she cried. Problem solving, Grace replied. 3 quiet days passed. Then a drone buzzed over my barn. Jed, my neighbor, called, not mine. Someone cut your south gate too. Tracks in your north pasture. Not cows. We followed the drone and found it mapping my land. Jed pulled up a Facebook group, Future Clearwater Ranch Estates. There was my gate in a presentation slide. She's tried to rezone, I muttered. Already started. Filed noise complaints about your rooster too. That night, we crashed a planning meeting at a Cracker Barrel. Beverly was mid-PowerPoint, pointing at my horse field labeled Rec Center. That's my land, I said. Still got goat poop from this morning. Jed presented forged documents she submitted. Also, your drone is registered to an HOA in Glendale. The room erupted. One attendee asked, why is a nature preserve marked for tennis courts? People argued. Karen screamed, this isn't over. Jed leaned in. You're right. It's just getting fun. Back home, Spud was gone. Tracks ended at tire marks. A crumpled flyer from the fake HOA lay nearby. She go nap Spud, I told Luke. He called him back up. By morning, Grace assembled a search party. Volunteers showed up. Jed had maps, drones, and an unreasonable number of walkie-talkies. We found her near an old creek bed, plastic fencing, a fake toll booth, and Spud tied to a lawn gnome. He trespassed, she claimed. You kidnapped him, Grace replied. Spud pooped on her pamphlets in protest. She was cited for livestock theft, impersonation of municipal authority, and illegal toll collection. Permission to deputize the goat, Jed asked. Granted, Grace said. We took Spud home and threw a party. He wore his badge. Kids took selfies. Jed reenacted our Cracker Barrel ambush with a toy projector. Grace gave a speech. To every Beverly out there, this county ain't for sale. Beverly was fined and hit with a restraining order. She started a zoning podcast. Has 2 listeners. One is probably her lawyer. Peace returned. Until Jed pulled up the next morning. Alpaca Rescue in Bell County needs a home. I told him you had space. Spud opened one eye. Groaned. I smiled. Let the chaos begin.